What is up, LZ and G's? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Tonight we just got the final, I think it's 10 cards revealed for Dawn of Majesty. Really excited. Some of the artworks look cool. I haven't read anything. I've just seen some of what the cards are. A couple traps in here, and then mainly monsters after that, but excuse the alarm. Yeah, let's jump into it. I don't want to waste too much more time. This will round out the very last part of the set. Here we go. Starting off here, we have Master Model Diploman. It's a level 5 Dark Machine. 2000 are its stats. If this card is Tribute Summoned, you can target one monster in your graveyard and one monster your opponent controls and equip that monster from the graveyard to the opponent's monster. While a monster is equipped this way, it loses attack equal to that equipped monster's. Second effect, your opponent's monsters equipped with equipped cards you control cannot activate their effects. Okay, one thing that is interesting, and I will say, I think this card's obviously not amazing all around, but the one thing that is interesting is this very last effect here, which just says generically all monsters with equipped cards you control cannot activate their effects. So say you just have a strategy that is able to quick effect equip your own cards to your opponent's stuff, negate it, right? I think of something like Amazement, the new like control strategy, the new trap strategy that's coming out in Lightning Overdrive. They have traps that equip to either yours or your opponent's monsters. So if this guy's on the field, you could just do that. Now, he's still level 5. If he was normal summonable, I would actually think this is a really interesting card for like a weird like stun control strategy, but okay, just an okay card. Next up, we have Slower Swallow. This is a level 1 Wind Wing Beast. We just got the Lyrla support, so we'll see what this does. 100 attack, 100 defense. You can only special summon it with its first procedure once per turn. First effect, if there are 2 or more monsters with the same level on the field, you can special summon this card from the hand. Okay, it does take a little bit of setup, so like after you're like playing into Disruption, I don't think this card's that good, but it is a raw extender at the end of the day. Also, second effect, you can tribute this card and then draw 2 cards instead of your 1 normal draw during your next draw phase. So apparently, I think you can just activate this whenever, and then you'll just be able to draw 2 on the next standby phase as long as it resolves. And it's not like you need to keep it on field and then tribute it on your draw and then it like kind of replaces. So I think you can just activate it whenever. I think this card's okay. Unfortunately, I think its extension effect is like too dependent on you already being able to play. Like in Lyrlust or Lyrlust Tri-Brigade, if you can already put 2 level 1 wing beasts on the field, you're already able to play pretty well, right? So like this card's just kind of extra at that point, but it is still an extender. So I don't know, maybe it will have a spot. I don't know. If anything, I think it might be a one of searchable, but I think now the deck has better extenders, plain and simply. So we'll see. Next up here, we have Exoskeletal Dragon Gaiarm. I love the artwork. The artwork's awesome. It is a level 6 Earth Dragon Synchro, 2000 attack, 1300 defense. It is completely generic. Thank you, Konami. Konami's been doing a great job just making a lot of these cards generic, and obviously only specific decks really work with like certain synchros and XC levels, but I like that. This card has 3 hard ones per turn effects. The first effect says you contribute this card, then target 3 other synchro monsters in your graveyard and return them to the extra deck. Okay, so kind of like reloads you with all your stuff. Okay, interesting. You can target one of your monsters special summoned from the extra deck and equip this card from the graveyard to that target. When a monster equipped with this card declares an attack, you can draw 1 card. Okay, I think he's fine. I don't think he's amazing. Of course, the third effect's even a hard ones per turn, so it's not even like you could try and equip himself to something that can attack more than once, and then try to like draw more than 1 card. I think he's fine. I don't think he's strong enough particularly to like actually do enough. If he could like shuffle 3 synchros to like draw 1 or 2 cards, then I'd be really interested. But I don't know, just shuffling back, you're gonna trade a level 6 synchro just to shuffle back synchros engraved. You'd have to have like multiple other extenders to be able to get you then into the cards you shuffled back in the first place. So I don't know. All right, next up we have a new zombie monster, Messenger Spirit of the Fatal Eye, Psycho Pompous. I love his design. His design is super cool. I love it. This is a level 2 Earth Zombie Tuner. 0/0 the stats, 2 hard once per turn effects. The first effect reads, if this card is special summoned, period, you can apply this effect based on which of the following your opponent has more of in their grave. If they have more monsters, banish this card, and if you do, your opponent banishes 1 monster from their graveyard, their choice. If your opponent has more spells and traps in grave, you can send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, your opponent sends 1 monster they control to the graveyard, again, their choice. And the last effect, second effect, during the end phase, if this card was banished last turn, you can special summon this banished card. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Right, using stuff like Mizuki, right? Doesn't Mizuki banish other zombie monsters? So even if you just generically use him as that, he'll just come back as continual, like, tuner, as a continual tuner or a zombie body. I think he's not bad. I'm not sure how amazing he is. Like, if either of these effects allowed you to choose the cards you're either banishing from grave or sending from field, obviously these become a lot better, but still, the first one's definitely really rough, right? Because your opponent most likely has, more often than not, is going to have multiple monsters in grave, which means like there's probably multiple that are like have no use for them in grave, so they just banish that one, right? So that's obviously not great. The spell and trap one's a little better because it does force your opponent to send something from field. And again, they're going to send obviously the thing that's the least useful to them. But if they only have 1 monster, you're just going to force them to send the only monster. Maybe you do this after a deck normal summons. Some decks can struggle to play through a disruption on normal summon. So I don't know. But that's also dependent on your opponent based on them having more spells and traps in grave as well. So an okay card, not an amazing card though. So we'll see, right? All right, next up we have a spell, Margin Trade. This is a normal spell card. You can only activate 1 with its name per turn. Your opponent can discard 1 card and negate this effect, okay? Otherwise, both players look at their opponent's deck, and if they do, they choose 1 card from it, then they add the card chosen by their opponent to their hand. Oh, okay, so your opponent chooses a card, and that card gets added to your hand, not like your opponent takes that card from your deck and adds it to their own hand. You're picking 1 card for your opponent to add to their hand. They're picking 1 card for you to add to your hand. So very interesting. I don't hate this card actually, because I do think this could be one of those cards where, like, if you build a deck that has literally no bricks, sure, you might have hand traps, but you're going to say, sure, give me a hand trap. But you know, like, look at meta decks. Every single meta deck plays bricks, whether it's a Psy-Frame Driver, whether it's, you know what I mean, Virtual World, you just give them like you give them like the new trap, or like a Nyan, like it's an okay card to normal summon, whatever, like, you know what I mean, like there are bricks, there are what feels like bricks in like every single meta deck. So as long as you play no bricks, or maybe you just play a deck that's all gas and they have to give you some kind of extender, that can work too. I think it's a very specific to a strategy, but I don't think it's the worst. You're either going to force your opponent to discard a card, or you're going to give them a brick while they give you an extender. Not the worst thing in the world, but you do still have to use a card to do it. So your opponent's technically going +1, you're going 1 for 1. Whatever. Next up, we have a trap, Monster Assort, or Assorted Monsters. It's a normal trap. You can only activate 1 with its name per turn. Reveal 1 normal monster and 1 effect monster with the same type, attribute, and level from your deck. And if you do, your opponent randomly picks a 1 for you to add to your hand and shuffle the other monster back into the deck. Very interesting. If this card summoned a monster, I think it'd be way more interesting. Because obviously as a trap, like, that's way too slow, I think, just to add a monster. You need to be able to, like, search. But I guess theoretically you could potentially search a hand trap if you're lucky off of this, but you also have the potential to just add a vanilla monster, of course. So I don't know. I don't think this card's very good, but it's cheeky, it searches, it's fine, but it's random and adds to hand when it should be special summoning. All right. Next up, we have As the Master of Beasts Pleases. It's a continuous trap. You can only activate the effect of this card's name once per chain. Oh, okay, once per chain. Once per turn at the start of the damage step, if your monster battles an opponent's monster in the same column, you can return all cards in your battling monster's column to the hand. Okay, I mean, I don't think that's like too crazy. I mean, I guess maybe with a deck like Mech Knights or a deck like S-Force, this might have a little more validity to it. A strategy where you're already trying to line up your stuff. But again, it's battle phase based. Like, you rarely see like super battle phase based cards like do well in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, we have Zeus, but that's really just for his summoning condition. It doesn't even have anything to do with like what makes him viable, which is his sending effect, which is just a quick effect. So I don't know. This card's also kind of meh to me. Next up, we have a generic Link monster. This is Paparazzi Disparazzi. Okay. It's a Link 2 Dark Fiend, 100 attack, very weak, with left and right arrows, weird arrows as well, but he takes any 2 effect monsters. And he has 2 hard ones return effects. The first effect reads, when your other monster is targeted for an attack, you can change the attack to this card and perform damage calculation. Okay? When this card you control is destroyed by a battle with an opponent's monster, destroy that opponent's monster, and if you do, gain life points equal to half the attack it had on the field. Okay, I mean, like, again, this is like, even if you wanted to use this proactively and like attack into a monster so that you die, you're not going to gain back all the life points. You only gain back some of the life points that like you took in the first place. So it is technically an out to something. It doesn't target, I guess you could say, is that like it's a generic Link monster that gives you like non-targeting but destruction removal. Meh. Again, just meh, I would say. Next up here, Counter Trap, Stall Turn. This is a Counter Trap card. Counter Trap, interesting. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that will negate the summon of a monster or the activation of a spell or trap card, banish the top 3 cards of your deck face down, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck. Okay, I mean, like, it's fine, but like, why would you run this over Judgment? We get cards like this all the time, it feels like. Maybe not all the time, but every once in a while. And I'm just like, why would I ever run this over Judgment? Yes, Judgment pays half my life points, but Judgment just like covers so many more bases than like a card like this does. So, nope. All right, and the last card here is Jar of Generosity, another Jar card. Interesting. Place 1 card from your hand on the top or bottom of the deck. Come on, man. Come on. All right, before we finish this video up, let me just go real quick and make sure. Oh my God, why is my internet being so slow? I hate it when it does that. All right, real quick going over these cards. Just quick synopsis here. He has an interesting floodgate effect, but very specific to the deck you're playing it in. Okay, cool. This card's an interesting extender for like Lyralist type decks, but again, it requires you to already be able to kind of play the game, which I don't like. I like extenders that let you get disrupted and then allow you to keep playing through disruptions. This card doesn't necessarily do that for me. This guy has more of like a reset your extra deck kind of effect, but it doesn't really make up for that at all, like the resources that you're actually putting into it. The zombie guy's actually kind of cool. I think he could have potential validity as a one-of in certain zombie builds. Like Zombie World type decks, but he's still a tuner also, so can't forget that. This card's interesting, but again, it can be negated easily. You go 1 for 1, your opponent goes +1. Meh. This card is too slow, adds to hand. This card is too battle phase reliant. This card also battle phase reliant with terrible arrows. This card too specific in what it needs to negate. And then this card's just god awful. It's a -2. That's so horrible. So yeah, the last 10 cards, kind of disappointed, to be honest. I mean, usually when we get the last couple cards of a set, they drop them all at once right before the set comes out. And usually there's like 1 or 2 really nice cards, and then the rest are just like for Lightning Overdrive, I believe we got like Book of Lunar Eclipse in the final 10 cards and 1 Curry Way, which is actually a pretty good reborn spell. And we got nothing here that's like anything close to those. So kind of disappointed overall. I think Dawn of Majesty will go down as a very underwhelming set unless like the TCG exclusives are like so insane they make the set like actually like good just by themselves. I think this set's super underwhelming. Couple cool things here or there, but just really underwhelming overall. But obviously those are just my thoughts. Let me know down below what you think, one, of any of these new cards, if you think there's anything interesting that I didn't note, I might have missed in here and there, let me know down below, as well as let me know your overall thoughts on Dawn of Majesty. I made a video a while back saying the set is weak as hell. That was when half the set was revealed. We have the whole set revealed now. I think it's a little better, but not great by any stretch of the imagination. I'd give it a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. But that's going to do it from here, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff from me in the future. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.